What do I know? Let's talk about it. Both my kids were taken, and the people at the top think I don't know that. They want me to believe that my kids hate me and that they just never call or come around when I know that they're being forced to not come around. They're not allowed to come around me, and they're threatened if they do. So, what I figured out was there is a foster care system in our country that steals children, and they don't even tell the mother. They just put a replacement look-alike kid in their place. And then, if you say anything about it, they say you're crazy and label you as such so that you can't ever tell your story. How clever. You know, I didn't get smart on my own. God made me smart. And one day I was sitting in my house crying on a Christmas day because neither one of my children came to see me. And God spoke and He said, "Get out your photo albums. Look at your pictures. Look from the time they were 2 until they were older. And look at the eyes and the nose and the mouth and how they don't match up." So I did that. And I realized my kids were not the ones I raised. And that's what I was told by God. He told me I did not raise my own kids. And then He explained to me they were foster kids and that somebody else was getting the money. And this has gone on for years. They have been doing this for years, stealing children for profits. And if you say anything, then they just say you're crazy and nobody listens to you. So they discredit you and they make you homeless and they bury you in debt and they make it impossible to get housing. They make it impossible to get jobs. They put you on sort of a blacklist, even though they should be on a blacklist. And instead, they're sitting in their big mansions eating steak dinners and lobster and caviar and drinking till they're drunk every day because they're that crazy. I'm just glad God showed me the light and I got off medication and I also got off of alcohol. And God showed me what they did. They put a bunch of mercury in my mouth. They gave me an MRI and I shook all over after the MRI. Metal and MRIs don't mix. And at that time, I was put on Xanax. And I was on Xanax for years, and then it was Ativan. But see, what I didn't know was Xanax was the take your clothes off drug. That's the drug they use to brainwash, to have you abused. And then that way no one will listen to you. Oh, she's on medication. Well, yeah. Medication. Let's just talk about that. I wouldn't have needed medication if they wouldn't have filled my mouth full of mercury, and I might have been able to think for myself and do the right things had I not been drugged. So, brainwash works best when you're medicated. But when you're not medicated, it can't happen because you know what you're doing. You have to be smarter than the evil that exists in this world. And the only way you're going to have more smarts than these evil people that are fallen demons that used to live with God and know all of his secrets. The only way you're going to be smarter than them is to pray and get to know God, because you won't figure nothing out on your own. I promise you. You know, I met a lady the other day, and she said she had been crying, and I said, why were you crying? And she said, well, my kids never come over or call. And she was 59, and I'm 64. And I said, honey, I know how you feel. I don't hear from mine either, but I don't hear from mine for another reason. My kids were told they are not allowed to ever contact me, and they have been brainwashed and drugged so that they do as they're told. So, you see the whole saga, right? The only way you can control somebody else is through medication. And the way you do it is you dumb down their mind with medicine, and then they can't think for themselves, and they have to have a handler. And my handler was my oldest sister. And she was the one that told me everything to do, whether it was right or wrong. She was the one telling me to do it. So I went through my 20s and part of my 30s being totally brainwashed and browbeat. And it has taken me many years to overcome what was done to me. And at this point, my older sister took all my friends. Every friend I ever get, she bribes with money that belongs to me from 2008, when I put in a little tip that got me quite a bit of reward money, and somehow she took over the account. So, I guess you could call it, what do they call that? She kind of flipped the script. And they even have, like, she pretended to be me and went on this trip. And my son, at that time, I had a flip phone, and I was able to talk to my son. And he was asking me how tall I was, and I said, I'm 5'6", but I'm actually 5'5" now. So anyhow, I told him, you know, how tall I was, and he said, I knew that wasn't you. I knew you weren't that tall. It was my sister pretending to be me. She had stole a bunch of my wigs and posed as me. And basically, they've been sabotaging both my kids, taking money from them on a regular basis. And they think it's me. And here I am. I've been living in my car and homeless and starving half the time because they stole what was mine in 2008 when I had that bank account and money going into it that belonged to me, and they took it over because their friend worked at the bank. So, how do you steal somebody's children. Well, you do it through the courts, and they had friends at the courts. They knew people. They knew the police, they knew judges, they knew all kinds of important people. And when you can do that, then you're in. And I'm not in, I'm out. And I don't want to be in. I don't want to be doing illegal shit and, hurting people and purposefully. I don't want to live that way. But I do want to see my kids, and I'm going to see them. And whatever it takes, I'm going to do. And God have pity on your souls, you try to stop me. And the man next door moved in, I want to say about, maybe 4 months ago. He moves in and he starts asking me a lot of questions. Every day when I leave, he's asking me where I'm going, when I'm coming home. And I really don't get it. Like, why is this person that I don't even know asking me all these questions? Well, it's because when I was gone, he was either... I found out this used to be his apartment. They didn't change the locks, so he was coming in here stealing my food and everything else. And he cut a hole in the attic to my apartment and was coming in my apartment through the attic. And see, the way I know that is there wasn't carpet on the bottom of the ladder when I moved in, but then suddenly someone put carpet on the ladder. Now I've got to worry about him coming in here when I'm here and doing something to me. And I can hear him, walking up there and moving stuff around. And he's putting a bunch of weights and things on the ceiling so that it collapses. And he thinks I don't know what's going on, but with God as my witness, he pretty much tells me what's going on. They're planning a collapse, and they make me pay for insurance and with my rent. And so when it collapses, then they'll get $380,000, and I'll get nothing because I'll be dead, or so they think. So anyhow, yeah, it's been a crazy ride. I have been through so much bullshit. I could write a book at this point. And he basically drives $100,000 car. Now, who drives $100,000 truck and lives in an $850 apartment a month? Who does that? Nobody. And then he's saying he's poor and he doesn't have any food and blah, blah, blah. And he works 7 days a week. But what's he doing at that job? He says he's a bricklayer. I don't think that's what it is. I really don't think that's what he does. I think he was paid to move next door and was supposed to finish the job that my ex-husband started. You see, there's no record online of me filing for divorce 4 times. There's only one entry, and it's in 2014, and it says I have no kids, but I have 2 kids. But yeah, the courts don't lie. So I have found out about so many agencies that were corrupt, and they have used electronic signatures to steal money from me and my kids. And they think we don't know what they did. But, yeah, I'm pretty well aware. the whole world right now is a big shit show. And I'm just looking forward to the time when Jesus comes back. Because I've had enough. I've had enough of the thievery. I've had enough of the lies. I've had enough of people blocking me from my children. I've had enough. God bless and good day. I wish you all the best.